Hello and welcome back. Let's start to create resources which are the dependencies of our Azure function. Let's check our dependency flow diagram of Azure function creation. These are all the resources we will create to finally create our Azure function. First resource is a subscription. At this point, I expect you have a subscription and you have logged into Azure. Now let's deep dive in resource group. So what is a resource group? A resource group is a container that enables to manage related resources in Azure environment. Let's consider we need to create many Azure resources and we need to group them and keep them together. So we create resource group and then provide references of the resource group to all the other resources while we create them. But when we say group them, based on what logic we group them, resources are grouped based on the life cycle. Resources which has same life cycle can be created, updated and deleted together, and they should be part of same resource group. All these listed Azure resources based on assumption, we say resources consist of two different application which has two different life cycle. We are just assuming it. So you decide to have a second resource group, and based on the life cycle of these resources, we can move these resources to the right resource group. This way, we can logically split resources in different resource groups. Next, we should know that each resource can exist in only one resource group, and no resource in Azure can be shared by two resource groups. You can add, update, or remove a resource in a resource group anytime and as many times as you want them. You can move resources from one resource group to another resource group. You just need to make sure nothing is breaking by this movement. A resource can connect to a resource in another resource group. This scenario is common when two resources are related but they don't share the same life cycle. For example, you can have a virtual machine that connects to a database in a different resource group. When you delete a resource group, all the resources in the resource group first deleted and then the actual resource group is deleted. Now let's talk about location in resource group, which is very important property of a resource group. When you create a resource group, you need to provide a location for that resource group that states to which location a resource group will be deployed to. But why do we need location in a resource group? Resource group stores metadata about the resources. When you specify location of the resource group, you are specifying where the metadata is stored. For compliance reason, you may need to ensure that your data is stored in a particular region. The resources in the resource group can be located in different regions than the resource group. But is it recommended that your resource group is in one region and the resources are in another region? For that, we need to understand what is Azure Resource Manager. Azure Resource Manager is a deployment and management service for Azure. It provides management layer that enables you to create, update, and delete resources in Azure account. When you send a request through any Azure API like tools, SDKs, Resource Manager receives this request. It authenticates and authorizes the request before forwarding it to the appropriate Azure service, which eventually create, update, or delete that particular resource. The resource group location is where the Azure Resource Manager store metadata for that particular resource in the resource group. Azure Resource Manager use this location for routing and keeping the caches. For example, when you list your resource, Azure Resource Manager get the information from the cache in the location where the resource group is present. When the resource group region is somehow down, Azure Resource Manager is unable to read or update the resource metadata and blocks your read. And if you are writing some data, then it will block your writes as well. You may not be able to update resources in the resource group because the metadata is unavailable. So all your read, write, update calls are blocked if location is down where the resource group is keeping the metadata. The resources inside the resource group which are kept in another location, they will be still healthy and active. They will do what they are meant to do. It's just that we cannot update or delete them or add a new resource because the resource group location is unavailable. So by co-locating your resources and resource group region, you reduce the risk of the region instability because the resources and the metadata exist in one region instead of multiple regions. We have not even started deploying anything, but these are the foundational elements that contributes to proactive disaster mitigation in production environment, which is very important to understand. Now, let's move to tags. You can apply tags to a resource group, but what are tags? Tags are metadata that consist of key value pair to describe a particular resource. We can add multiple tags to a single resource group. The resources in the resource group does not inherit those tags. That means resource group has their own tags and resources inside a particular resource group may have some another tags. We can also filter resources in Azure based on tags. If you have many resources, how would you kind of filter it? So tags are the best way to go for. A quick example, we can add billing unit tag to each resource and the resource group. Later, we can filter all the resources based on the billing unit tag for analysis purpose. There are many other advantages of tags. We will go through them as we proceed ahead in this video. The last topic to understand is limits. In resource group limit, the first question is how many resources can we create in a single resource group? It's not the total number of resources, but we need to understand first all resources are of certain type, which we called as resource type. So in particular resource group, we can have maximum 800 resources of each resource types. Next, we can have 980 resource groups per subscription because resource groups lies under a subscription. So we can have 980 resource groups in one particular Azure subscription. Next is deployment history, which is 800. Azure retains the deployment history. Whenever you deploy something in a resource group, it maintains the history of it where you can see how many resources were successfully created, how many were failed, what is the exact error if we get some kind of particular error in that. So we keep on deploying with our newer versions and it keeps 800 history of the deployment. We'll understand deployment history in depth in the upcoming videos. In next is resources per deployment, which is 800. This is specified the total number of resources I can create at a time in a same deployment. So deployment is a single shot where I am trying to deploy multiple resources. But when I say multiple, this is maximum 800. Next is management log per unique scope, which is 20. This means you can log the resources or the resource group for preventing accidental update or deletion of any kind of resource or resource group. You can create 20 such logs. The number of tags on a resource or resource group is maximum 50. We just saw we can create tags, which is metadata for a resource group. So we can create 50 such tags and attach to one single resource or a resource group. As tag consists of key and values, that key has a maximum length of 512 characters and the value can be of maximum 256 characters. I believe you are logged in to Azure and ready to do hands-on with me. Please write in the comment any questions or feedback you have. It really helps me to create better contents for the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel so that you will be notified for the upcoming video. Thank you.